Hi everyone, today Phone Arena will be taking a look at the new Pantech Marauder, currently available from Verizon Wireless for $49 with a 2-year contract. The Marauder is basically a simple to use, low priced Android smartphone. It's basically designed for people that may never have used a Android smartphone before due to the starter mode, which we'll show you in just a few minutes. But overall, as far as the design and specs of the phone are, it's relatively compact. Does have a sliding QWERTY keyboard. On the front of the phone is a 3.8-inch WVGA display with a resolution of 480 by 800. Because of the smaller size of the screen, the resolution actually looks pretty decent. Only up close you're going to notice a little bit of jagged edges, but under most circumstances that's really not going to be a issue. Overall colors and saturation is pretty good with the display, but we did notice that outside, pretty much in direct sunlight, display is going to be a little bit dark and difficult to see. Underneath that you have 4 touch sensitive buttons, one for back, another one for home, another one for your recent apps, and another one for the settings. So overall, a pretty basic design here. Of course, one of the main features of the phone is the 5-row QWERTY keyboard. You may be able to hear it, but you can kind of hear the plastic behind the display rubbing against the keyboard. Also does require a little bit of force to open up there, not quite as smooth as what we've seen with the Samsung Stratosphere or the Motorola Droid 4. But as far as the keyboard is concerned, 5 rows, number of keys across the top. Our issue with the keyboard is that it's virtually flat. As you can see, the keys aren't raised at all from the surrounding plastic, and there's also very little room between the keys, so you got to really pay attention while typing on the keyboard. As you can see, if you go just slightly off center of one of the keys, you're going to press one of the keys next to it. So it's okay to use on occasion, but people that type a lot of emails or text message a lot may want to look at the keyboard on the Stratosphere or the Droid 4, as both of those are laid out much nicer than the keyboard here on the Marauder. Also on the back of the phone is a 5 megapixel camera, and when you take off the battery cover, there's a 1680 milliamp battery. Also, there's a vacant micro SD card slot here. You can put up to a 32 gigabyte memory card, but in order to get to it, you gotta pop the battery out. One thing that we do like about the phone is this grooved finish on the back that does help provide a pretty nice grip while holding it. As you can see, it does fit pretty comfortably in the hand, not too big, not too small, about just the right size here. And like we said, it's pretty much designed for people that are just starting out using Android. Despite its low price, we're glad to see that the Pantech Marauder comes with Android 4 ice cream sandwich right out of the box, so it doesn't require any type of a future update. Right now it's running what's called the standard mode. As you can see, there's a total of 7 home screens on the device that you can swipe through. Doesn't move too quickly. As you can see, there is a little bit of a stutter when going between the home screens. Not super smooth, but it does have a Snapdragon S4 dual-core 1.2 gigahertz processor on there. So overall, it's got the ice cream on there, and Pantech has their own layered interface over top of that, so you're really not going to see anything stock ice cream sandwich. Across the bottom, you got your dock icons, and you can also swipe this side to side to add even more if you want that. So it's a nice little feature here. Of course, going into the app drawer shows everything alphabetical that you can go through. Now, what we're going to do is actually change this, go into the mode change. Right now we're in the starter mode. We're going to go here to the, we're in the standard mode right now. We're going to go into the starter mode. Accept that. And what it's going to do is it's going to limit it right now to just 5 home screens. As you can see, the icons and the text is much larger, so it's a little bit easier to see. Also, you don't have the other panes down here for the dock icons. But one noticeable change is when going into apps, these are all now in groupings. So like for instance, going into media brings up certain ones, going into tools and settings. So everything is set up to be easier to use for people that may have never used a Android smartphone before, which by itself is pretty simple to use, but this just helps with the ease of use. So naturally, of course, this can be changed back. We're going to go back here and change it back to the standard mode. As you can see, it's pretty simple to do. So overall, it's a nice interface. Nothing really bad about it. And having that starter mode is really nice for someone just going into the Android experience. The Pantech Marauder also has a 5 megapixel camera. Outside images are okay for the most part, but as you can see, the auto white balance doesn't always work too well, causing colors to look kind of washed out or unnatural looking. There's also no LED flash, so low light pictures aren't going to be that great either. Our real issue comes into play with the video recorder. Even though it can record videos at 720p resolution, it's limited to only 19 frames per second. Because of this, anytime there's any type of movement or action that you're recording, it's going to kind of stutter across the screen instead of being nice and smooth when you have 24 to 30 frames per second. So that's really our only issue here as far as the video recording. But as far as the camera is concerned, like we said, it's 5 megapixel, no flash. It's sort of mediocre as far as a fine detail, but then again, for the $49 price of the phone, not really that bad considering. The Marauder can also connect to Verizon's 4G LTE data network as well as a standard Wi-Fi connection. So overall, pretty good here with the connectivity. The included stock browser also works pretty well. As you can see, not a huge delay when scrolling through web pages. There's a little bit of delay when doing pinch to zoom, but nothing too bad. So overall, the web experience is pretty good for the price of the phone. Of course, being that it's a 3.8 inch display, does kind of limit your screen size as far as the usability, how much of the web page you can get on the screen at a time. So we found do have to scroll more on this size of a screen than a larger screen like a 4.3 to a 4.8 inch, but overall pretty good for just standard web browsing. The overall call quality on the Marauder is adequate, as there was no background noise, static, and we never dropped any calls. But as far as the actual voice quality is concerned, voices weren't natural sounding. They did have a bit of a digital sound to them, and also was a bit choppy at times. So not the best call quality that we've heard on a phone, but still not terrible either. People that we called also said that it had more of a digital than a natural sound, and they could pretty easily tell that we were using a cell phone. The included a 1680 milliamp battery was able to provide us of about 7.5 hours of continuous talk time, or about 2 days with mixed usage. So overall, the Pantech Marauder is reasonably priced at $49 on contract. The 3.8-inch display is a pretty decent size. The phone fits well in the hand. Feels pretty decent made for the price. Keyboard is a nice touch, but still, like we said, the flat keys and the limited spacing, you do have to be careful when using the keyboard. And the 5 megapixel camera does pretty much okay for shots, but video recording, you're limited to that at 19 frames per second. Another phone you might want to consider in the same price range here is the Samsung Stratosphere, currently also at the $49 price point. Camera on it is going to be a little bit better. Also has the better design keyboard and also a 4-inch Super AMOLED display. So if you want to check out more information here on the Pantech Marauder, check out our website at phonearena.com.